impact in the lives of your clients. It's why you got it started in your business to begin with. But sometimes you may not know exactly how to do that without overreaching, or if you're brand new, because you don't want to mess something up. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 ways that you can make a bigger impact in the lives of your clients starting today. These are tried and true, and they're going to help you get the results that you want in your business and the transformations that they are looking for. So if you want the show notes, then make sure and drop the word impact below, or send me a direct message, because I know not everybody wants to pop in, whether we're live or watching this via replay, and I will make sure and get them to you. Hey, I'm Joyce Lehman, and I work with coaches, consultants, and course creators to help them leverage their unique brand and message so they can stand out online, sell more services, and make a bigger impact without feeling overwhelmed. And I do this through my incubator framework. Well, today we're diving into how to make a big impact. It's the thing that we love to do, and there's a very good chance that you got into your business because you experienced this transformation as well. So it doesn't matter if you're coaching on wellness or business or marketing or mindset or relationships, you can use these within the niche that you are in. So the very first thing that you can help do is help them to see the bigger picture. You may have experienced this. When we get caught in the weeds, it's hard for us to see everything that's going on. So when you can pull your client back and all right, now back to if you've ever gone live online, and I have clients that are terrified of going live online for this very reason. Here's the thing. If you're in business, if you're going live, and I don't care if it's using a streaming platform or if you're on your phone, things are going to happen. You just roll with the punches. So I see a time that's there, and I'm going to make sure that we get this recapped at the end, but I want to go ahead and move through this, and hopefully I can go back in and get this edited to cut out these parts. But anyway, we're just going to roll with it. So when you're thinking about long-term goals, as I said, this should be focused on what they want professionally as well as personally, because it's hard to separate one goal from the other, because what you do in business, the time that you spend, the investments that you're making, that's going to have an impact on your personal life. So there are 3 great questions that you can ask, and I'm using notes to make sure I get these done. So First off, you want to know what are their long-term goals. And with that is what do you see long-term for your business? And it's personally as well. Now, say for example, you work on wellness. Well, somebody's physical health, their mental health, it affects everything that they do. So that's why you say, what are your long-term goals with your health? Maybe they have a business, then ask, what are your long-term goals in your business? How is your health affecting your long-term goals for your business? On the flip side, maybe you're a relationship coach. Then you would just tweak that question a little bit and say, what are the long-term goals for your business? Is your partner, your significant other, maybe they're married, your spouse, how do they impact or what influence do they have in business? Then just expand those questions to make sure that it's meeting your niche. Now, as I said at the beginning, and since we had a little tech hang up, that if you want these show notes, because I run through these, if you've been on a live before, I go through these pretty quickly. So just drop the word impact and I will send you the show notes when they're done, especially because we've had tech issues today. Anyway, okay, so the first question is, what are your long-term goals? And then what will achieving them mean for you? What will achieving them mean for you and your family? Or what will achieving them mean for you, and your significant other or partner? So that's that lead on question. And how is it going to change your life? So this way you get them thinking about that in transformation. What does it feel like when they get there? And get them focused. Like I said, you've got to pull them back so they see that long-term vision. The second question is, how can they get there? So typically when somebody comes to you and they want coaching advice, then they have something set in their mind. Maybe they've had a friend say, hey, you need to do this because this was my experience. And so ask them, how can they get there? So what do they have in their mind? Because if your method, your framework, your solution is different than what they have, it may throw them for a loop. So the more questions you have to ask, the better. But this is all going to get into the bigger picture. And then it's also going to help you to understand what's holding them back. Sometimes it's a mental thing. Sometimes it's a physical thing. Sometimes, depending on, like I said, your services, maybe they're wanting to do more in marketing in their business and they've heard they have to run Facebook ads and they say, well, I don't have money to run Facebook ads, but I know I need to do this. Well, if you're working on marketing, then you can offer solutions, like I said, help them step back and see the bigger picture. This is where you can troubleshoot and see where they're getting stuck. And then the third question is, what's standing in their way? It's always good to recognize potential obstacles. Maybe there's not something that they have right now. Maybe it's I've got kiddos that are going to be leaving for college and I don't want to start my business yet. I want to wait. Or maybe they're telling you that they're, finishing up. It's that, they have to have that certification before they start their business. Or maybe if it's health related, they have to meet with their doctor first before they get started. So that's why when you're asking those questions, it's really going to help to step back for them to see the bigger picture, but it's going to get you more information that you need to help them move forward. And when you help them see the bigger picture, the other thing it does is it helps them to stay motivated and working towards their bigger goals so they can actually make progress. But like I said, if you only focus on the big things and you don't chunk it down to the 90-day, the 30-day, the weekly, and it's like, what are those daily actions and also behaviors? That's a huge one. Then they may not see the progress. So use those questions to help them see that along the way. And also keep in mind we're coming into Q4. And with that, New Year's going to be shortly thereafter that. And we always see it. People try to make all these changes at once, and then their subconscious goes, hold the phone, because its job is to maintain sanity. And so anytime you start setting new goals or trying to do new things, and even when you're asking somebody to see the bigger vision, then their subconscious can consciously pull them back. Subconscious can it will pull them back. And then you're going to start hearing excuses. You're going to see procrastination. So that's why when you have that picture, then make those next steps as easy as possible. And I know you can do this because you've thought through your coaching framework. All right. So on to question number 2. And and I don't always use notes, but I am using notes today because I want to make sure I stay on track. And of course, my paper is sticking together, but that's all right. Okay. Then number 2 is you want to keep them organized. And if you are the type of person, you fly by the seat of your pants and you're not organized, you may have just had a panic attack. Well, if they're feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling overwhelmed, it's because you're not organized. And this is where if you get some organization, you start having a system, you have a process, you simplify. This doesn't mean you got to go all in on tech, but you give them a way to focus on what's important. You create systems. And with that, it can be a very simple checklist. Goes back through, think through the steps. You got to do this step before you get to this step, before you get to this step. Because if you start with this step and then you jump to step 10, then that's not the right order. And there are some things that they may need to uncover. If it's more of a mental thing, you know, that process, you know, if it's like, if you're in marketing and sales, there are specific things that you need to do before you go start having conversations with people or before you even post content. So having those checklists and creating simple systems will help them to get organized. So do this by understanding it's like how they work best or how they operate best or what their mindset is. I've had some clients that I brought on and tech has scared the heck out of them. So I can't throw 5 tech platforms at them and say, you got to sign up for these and start here. It's like pull them back and go, okay, so we know that content is extremely important. So let's go over to Canva. And here's step 1. You're going to set up a Canva account. Step 2, take these templates and then input your colors. And of course, you can always, you know, do YouTube search or Google search to find those steps. But think through the steps that you take your clients through and what they need to help get them organized. Now, this also might be, depending on what's going on, time management, calendar, planning. It's like focusing on what are the most important things that they need to do, you know, each day. And what is that number 1 action item that somebody needs to take, you know, action on each day, instead of having 20 things on their to-do list and nothing gets done. Something as simple as you need to drink, you know, 8. I've heard this from a number of people, you know, in the health world. It's like, you need to drink more water. So how can you have a tracking system around how much water you're drinking? How do you make it easy for them to do? Because as they begin to check off and say they get a win and they get a win, first off, it releases a dopamine response in their brain. But secondly, every time they get that win, then they're motivated to take the next step. So that's why creating very simple checklists. This can be an Excel spreadsheet. You can create, you know, something cool in Canva with a template, easy peasy to do. And the cool thing is, once you have it, then consider using that checklist. If that's like that starter thing, what you want somebody to do, then use that as a lead magnet. You can put a different cover on it. You can put a little bit more setup information to it, because you know that this is where clients or potential clients are getting stuck. You give them something for free. They start looking at this and they go, oh my gosh, these are the steps, but then they need you to help them implement them. So that's why getting them organized is so important. All right, step number 3, keeping people accountable. I remember years ago, this has to have been probably 20 years ago, and I hired a productivity coach. And I had this whole binder of things that I was supposed to do. And I had a set action steps that I was supposed to do. And then we would have a check-in. Well, she's a productivity coach. So get this. And we would get to the end of the week and there were some things that I'd gotten accomplished and there were some things that I procrastinated on. And then she'd be like, that's okay. And then she'd move on to the next module. It's like, hold on. I hired her to help me be more productive. And she was just kind of pushing the accountability piece off to the side. Your folks have hired you because they need your insight. They need your expertise. They need somebody to help hold them accountable. So figure out how you are going to do that. So It's great to set goals, but it's the other thing to follow through on them. And the accountability and implementation is so important. So that's the biggest thing. People come to me. A lot of times we already know what to do, but it's the implementation, it's the actually getting into doing that makes it work. So if you have private clients, your accountability is going to function one way. If you have a group program, then your accountability could be something totally different. Say for example, in my group programs, I have private Facebook groups that paid members go into, and we post accountability threads. We also have additional accountability that happens when we do our co-working sessions. So that's that place where they got to do check-ins and see so we can see the progress that they made, but they also have a chance to ask questions. And then it becomes this mastermind as well, because I know that I don't have all the answers. Sometimes I do, but some of the most amazing answers come from other people who are in the program. So figure out when it comes to accountability, how you're going to deliver that. If it's just you and it's a one-off, like I said, it could be going back to a checklist. Maybe you have an email follow-up that you send. Could be a Slack channel. I have clients that when they are a private client, they get Slack access. So that way we can go back and forth without having to pick up the phone or DM via social media or email. It gives a direct way to communicate. So think about some of those ways and how you can add that accountability to your coaching or to the service offering that you've had. Now, if you're wondering, well, I'm concerned about if I'm giving, I have somebody and maybe, you've got 3 different levels of program. You've got 3 tiers of program, and you've got somebody who's coming in at that baseline and you're like, I don't want to give them everything, even though they, say they paid $99, but they're asking all of the questions. That's where you've got to get very clear on your specific offer, what this particular service is, and the level of support that they will receive. Inevitably, over the last 12 years, there are going to be people that always push the envelope. So that way, if you have it set up in advance and you can very gracefully say, this is what it is. Say somebody comes to you and they've got that one thing that they need to solve right now, then maybe you have a way that they can jump on a one-off coaching call with you to help really get them dialed in. That doesn't mean that they've gone to your next level program yet, but they want that one-to-one experience with you. Don't give it away for free. Your time is extremely valuable. So that way, have those different levels of offers and say, hey, let's jump on a call. Maybe it's just a 15-minute call, or maybe, somebody needs more accountability because they have a big project. You can figure it out. The big thing is you need to hold them accountable in the process. So as I said, depending on how you deliver your service, that's going, it's going to be different for you. So questions, if you're wondering what to do with questions, then you can ask, how are they doing with their goal? How are they doing with their action items? How are they doing with their behaviors? Because a lot of times when somebody's implementing a new goal, it isn't an action they're taking, it's the behavior that they have to change to help get them there. So make sure that you're asking about all of those. You want to know what's been working well. I call them their liked best. And then the next time, what would they do differently the next time? And the biggest thing is like, what's been challenging, or what are the obstacles that are coming up right now? Maybe it's that, a year and a half ago, I had left the track and just, in my car, I'm tracking, very safe environment, and I get rear-ended by a moron. She's going over 50 miles an hour and hits me when I am stopped in a toll booth, the big gray building, flashing lights and signs, completely totaled my car. Well, guess what? For the next 3 months, I was able to walk away, but I had whiplash and I had bruises and I had hand issues, and all the things. So that became another thing that I had to schedule in with the new coaching program that I had just invested in. So sometimes there's going to be an emergency, something that happens. So that's why making sure that you're touching base regularly. So if something happens, then you know what's going on in their lives. You don't want to say, here's a program and good luck to you. Even in the programs that somebody buys that's a digital download, I am checking in. Now I do it via email, but I want to make sure, do they have any questions with this? Are they able to get into the portal? Maybe it's when I make my updates, did they see the latest update? Because so often, and this, somebody says yes, they get started, but then they don't follow through like they should. So that's why that accountability piece is so, so, so very important. And with that, make sure that you have, here's what your next small step is so you can help them get their win. You're not going to be bugging them. You're helping them to make the transformation that they said they wanted when they invested with you and with your offer. So, and I mentioned, I want to be very clear on boundaries, because if you don't set boundaries, then you may have somebody take advantage of your time. You need to know what your time is worth and be very clear with that, and do it in a very kind and generous nature, as I know that you will do. All right. So now to recap 3 ways that you can make a bigger impact in the lives of your clients without getting too pushy and without missing anything in the details. So number 1 is help your clients see the bigger picture. This is where you're going to really focus on what that bigger vision is for them. Say you're a health coach. It's like, what do you see with your health? Where do you see yourself a year from now and 5 years from now? Why are they really doing this? You want to tap into the why they made the investment, because that why gives you clues as far as their motivation. If it's something where they want to have more energy to be, with their grandkids, or, maybe, and I had a friend of mine, he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So it was one of those things. They had to work with a health coach to make sure that he was in condition, because he was in his 60s to do it. So that is a big thing, is really stepping back and helping your clients see the bigger picture. Not just, I signed up because I have a productivity, it's a productivity thing and I want to do this, or I want to get my body in shape. It's like, okay, then how does that look in that long-term vision? And then make sure in the process that you tie that long-term vision, both personally and professionally, because you cannot separate either one of these things. I don't care if you're talking about numbers and you do CFO consulting and you're focusing purely on numbers and metrics in a business. The time that they spend in their business and the time that they invest in their business has a direct impact on their personal relationships as well. So helping them see that bigger picture is so incredibly important. All right. Step number 2, that looks like 4. So step number 2 is keep them organized. This is so important. We're finding out, because people, they get so in the weeds, and sometimes you're going to have clients come to you and they're very organized. I tend to be a very organized person. And sometimes, you may not be selling, services that are going to help them get organized, but you can see they got something going on. So if you're not an organized person yourself, yes, I understand it might be a little bit harder for you to set up, but the good news is if you develop systems, these can be very simple checklists, it can help you as well as them. So figure out, it's like, what is that thing that they're working on? And then develop a simple checklist. Like, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I know from my incubator program, because I am now on my 4th version of it, based on feedback from clients, because I have clients with different experience. Some come in and they've never done anything before. I have other clients that have had a business that's been going for a while. Then I've had to tweak things to make sure that if I have somebody comes in who's brand new, they've never done anything with business, that we break it down into these very simple steps. So think about how you can do that and get systems set up. The great thing about that is, whether it's a Google spreadsheet or you've got, a Canva download that you create, once you create it, then you've got it there. You can easily copy and say you've got 3 tiered offers of programs. Then you can very easily copy it and go ahead and then tweak it for the other offer. Or you can also turn it into a lead magnet, because you know that clients typically come in with certain frustrations and you know where they need to start. So if you offer that as a lead magnet, and if you just went, oh my God, I don't want to give content away for free, the biggest thing people hire you for is implementation. Just because they have a checklist doesn't mean they're going to be able to implement it. That's why they hired you, to help them with that. So look at the systems that your clients need help with, and keep it simple. That's the motto. Always keep it simple. So that way people can easily take action on them and they can get their wins. All right. And then number 3 is keep them accountable. So if you have a system in place and you have a checklist, and as I said, it depends on if you've got just a digital download offer and somebody's got it, are you creating an email series to follow up? If you have a private client, then are you jumping on the phone once a week, or maybe you have a Slack channel? So part of that is, what system do you have in place for accountability? Part of that's going to be depending on the level of offer, that it is. If you're offering a $99 program, you're not going to give access, to somebody to get one-on-one coaching with you on a regular basis. That doesn't jive. If it's a $99, then maybe, if you have a private group, which I have private groups for my programs, then people can post in accountability threads, but they have to post their question in the group to get that. It's the private clients that get faster access and more one-on-one time. So just think about how you're going to do accountability based on the offers that you have. Because the biggest thing is they need help with implementation. When they get help with implementation, they start getting their wins and they start seeing results with the transformation that they hired you for, then they are going to love you. It also makes it easier for them to continue on in the process, even when they have these little dips along the way, because you know that it happens. All right. So making a positive impact on your clients' lives, it's essential if you want to grow your business. It helps because that's why I went into business, and I'm sure that's why you went into business, is you experienced a transformation or you saw people making this transformation, and you know that you could make a bigger impact in lives if you had a chance to work with somebody. So with this, when you help somebody get, see the big vision and then get them laser focused, you provide a system, and then you hold them accountable. It is a win-win for everybody. So don't wait. I can't wait for you to tell me the biggest impact that you've had in a client. So feel free to drop a comment. I know not everybody makes this live. I hear that most folks catch this replay, which is totally fine. And if you want the show notes, I'm going to give you a condensed version of this. Then drop the word show notes or send me a DM and I will make sure and get the show notes to you for this. I do apologize at the beginning with the tech because, if you're live long enough, then, things are just happening. So with that, quick announcement, I have my top, in fact, it was a Pinterest post I had that went viral, and it was about planning your best year yet. And based on the feedback that I keep hearing from clients, and I also see online, I've actually pulled one of my modules out of my incubator program to develop the Drive planning system. So I am gifting this to the first 5 people who comment on this video. And so I have a very easy way to see that. It is a $600 value. I am going to be selling it for $47. It's an amazing investment, and it takes you through the whole goal planning, visioning, balance wheel process, plus giving you all the planning sheets. Because one of the biggest complaints I hear is, I buy a planner and then I change my mind. And so it's something that you get to tweak and set up your own planner. So with that, 5 people, the first 5 people who comment, and I see a little R snuck in on the screen. There it is. The first 5 people who comment, I will gift you my Drive planning system for free, but you have to comment below with Drive. So with that, I'm going to go back and watch this and see what happened at the beginning, because it was quite a technology kerfuffle. So with that, have a fantastic week. I will see you next time.